chat. Otherwise, I'll just
Yeah,
fucking...
it's back there.
We love you, we love you, fam. Billy Goat Tales, I love it here. Billy Goat Tales, the fam is here. Give us can, give us can, give us can, give us can. We love you, fam. We love you, fam. Billy Goat Tales, I love it here. Billy Goat Tales, the fam is here. Give us can, give us can, give us can, give us. We love you, fam. We love you, fam. Billy Goat Tales, I love it here. Billy Goat Tales, the fam is here. Give us can, give us can, give us can, give us. We love you, fam. We love you, fam. We love you, fam. Billy Goat Tales, I love it here. Billy Goat Tales, the fam is here. Give us can, give us can, give us can, give us. We love you, fam. We are Billy Goat Tales. We love you, fam. Hashtag givers gang. 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 We are Billy Goat Tales. We are Billy Goat Tales.
Good morning, goats. Welcome to Billy Goat Tales Sunday Family Edition. I think Crypto Billy's back there, but maybe not.
Hey.
There he is.
Good day. I don't think it's morning, Dave Digital. I think it's afternoon, but hey,
I
wherever
was
you
just
might be
caught a little
somewhere in the
off
world
guard.
there. Welcome to Billy Goat Tales, everybody. We got a great show lined up for you today. We are going to be talking about the crypto 401k plans that are moving forward. What does this really mean for you? Well, we're going to break it down. We're going to tell you about it. Also, minor capitulation has occurred. What does that signal for you guys? Well, we're going to break that down as well. We're going to talk about it because I think there's some opportunity in this, and hopefully Retro Mike comes into our community because, you know, he's one of our resident miners that really knows a lot about this. But I think there's a play here that we're going to talk about with Bitcoin and some of the macro economic factors that are at play, as well as the 4-year cycle, as well as a whole bunch of cool technical analysis kind of stuff that we've been looking at here at Billy Goat Tales. There is a lot of news that we are going to be going over, so stay tuned. Let's hit that. But first, let's go around the team and say hello to everybody. What is going on, Jimmy Jim? Good to see you, my friend.
What's going on, Billy? Just
My
dealing with some
microphone's-
life.
Yeah, I know you have, brother. I know you have.
Billy.
There you go. Good to see you, Red Man. What's happening? What's happening with you, man?
Hey, Crypto Billy, BGT fam. Good to see everybody in the chat. Some people that haven't been in there for a while that are in there today. I'm happy to see them. They know who they are. Back to you, Billy.
And we will get to those guys. Also, we have Dave Digital in the house. Everybody knows Dave Digital. What's going on, Dave?
What's going on, Billy? Just in this trade, it's just been so painful. Came in over here. When was that? Like last October? No, it was Saturday, late night, looks like, or maybe early morning. And we're still in it, so I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, we could get a little bit lower. But normally, when this happens, we already swept some lows. We're probably going to have to sweep some highs. So I don't know. I may have to send some alerts and figure out how to get out of this thing while we're on stream. We'll have to see.
All right, brother. And of course, we have our resident chart guy, DDT. Darren does things. What's going on, brother?
Evening, all good. Chilled weekend. For the little bit of what I call scam price action over the weekend. So generally in the weekend we should range. But yeah, it's looking okay for now. And yeah, we'll look at the Bitcoin chart a bit later. Get my thoughts on that. But by that,
You-
everything
you-
good, healthy, wealthy, normal.
That's
No
right.
complaints.
Yeah.
Great
Let-
stream this morning, DDT. Great stream.
Yeah, DDT, make sure you you drop your link into our chat so everybody can subscribe to your channel, and we'll see if we can go over there too during this show, so we can help you grow your channel over there as well. But first, let's say hello to the chat. Dave Digital, you want to do that?
I can do it. I think I saw Mortimer Duke in there. 7 hours to go, he says. Wow, he was in early. Jesse Luck was in there. Andy is in there. She's got her no-seeing monkey showing us, not showing his eyes. Mr. Market again. And then I saw, going down the list, Wick 589 is in here. Hopefully we
What?
get him on for a little bit of poetry. Curtis Hill is in the chat. Curtis Hill hitting up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with me on the stream, doing our warm-ups. He's doing steps, hitting over 1,500 stairs during the live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Curtis Hill's really going hard. Let me
Wow.
see. Of course, Redman is in there. Wick again. I think that's everybody that I see. DDT is in the chat. Good to see everybody. If I missed you, do me a favor. Say hi so we can say
You
hi
got
back.
Star
at you.
Dogs NFTs in here.
Oh, Star Dog's in there. Is that
Retro
Dylan over
Mike,
there?
Curtis Hill.
I didn't see Retro Mike. You saw Retro Mike too?
Yeah, Retro Mike made it in.
Man, good to see you. RMT. I've been seeing him in a couple other chats this week. So good to see you back around. Oh, there he goes.
Jesse,
I had to
Andrea.
filter it.
There you go. Yeah. Did you hit everybody? We want to make sure we're saying hi to everybody. Good to see my Wickster, Wick 589. We're still holding our XRP, aren't we, Wick? Like that XRP is the longest holding in my entire crypto portfolio since 2017. I've held and added to XRP. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I still own
Tell you,
it.
get mad at you if you didn't buy Bitcoin first.
I had to go through the learning curve, right? I had to go through the learning curve. So
That's right.
yeah, everybody, let's show this. Let's bring, so yeah, let's get Darren does things. Let's go.
Go sub his channel right now.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sure everybody in the chat subbed up.
we got to go
Yeah.
to Darren does things channel. So make sure we do that, guys. Mike, it is legit. I would die for Mike. I'll probably die because of Mike, but also I'd die for him anyway. Retro Mike, good to see you, man. We are going to be talking about some mining, so feel free to. We know and respect your opinion 100% as the OG in the space of mining and everything else, and appreciate everything you've always done for us at Billy Goat Tales. We appreciate you, brother. Let's start off now that we said hello to chat, because we got a packed show. So it might be feeling like I'm pushing it a little bit today, because I think some of these topics are going to expand and we might not even get to them all. So if you do feel like I'm kind of like pressing us through a wormhole here, it's just because I'm keeping one eye on the time and want to make sure we hit some of this stuff, because I really feel some of this stuff could be good for you, something you can use in your life and in your day with crypto. So I want to make sure we get to it. But first, let's hit the crypto bubbles and see where we are at with that. Go ahead, Redman, you ready?
Let's go.
We love you,
Yeah, so this is the crypto bubbles. This is the hourly. As you can see, we're getting a nice little pump on the hourly. A bunch of green out there. I like to see green. Dash is up 1.1%. I don't think we talked about Dash in a while. It's up to $32. It's up to rank number 91, $404 million market cap. Good job for the Dash people. And then we got Uniswap. Uniswap is doing pretty good here, 1.8%. It's up to $3.42. It's sitting at rank number 38, $202.16 billion market cap right now for Uniswap. And that's pretty much it for the hourly. Let's go on to the daily. Now, we got a bunch of recovery to do. We're green in the hourly. We're super red in the daily. Ondo still keeps going down. I don't know. It's still at the same spot it was when I talked about it a couple weeks ago at 25 cents. 26 cents. Ondo sitting at rank number 52, $1.27 billion market cap. Let's see what else here. We got Cardano down 3.4%, down to 23 cents for Cardano. It's down 1 spot to number 14, $8.88 billion market cap. 24 cents gets you 1 ADA token. Let's go on here. This is Rain. Rain is up and down. This is kind of weird price action here. I don't know if I 100% trust it, but it's up 1.9% for the daily. It's sitting at rank number 23, $4 billion market cap. Not even a penny for one token yet. So that's Rain for you. Let's move on to the weekly. The weekly Tau is still up 20%. Tau still showing strength. This is up 3 spots. Number 31, $3 billion market cap for Tau. $316. We talked about this last week and the week before because what? It's a great project. That's why we talk about it. FET. Let's go on to FET. FET's up 7 spots, number 80. AI play. For the weekly, it's up 13.8%. For the monthly, it's up 47%. Wow. FET. It's sticking around this 26-cent level, showing a little bit of strength. Up 17 spots, number 80. $524 million market cap. 23 cents gets you 1 FET token. Let's see what else is there to talk about. Oh, Knight. Yeah, Knight made a little move this week, Billy. It's up 16.7% for the weekly. It's up 6 spots, number 65. $817 million market cap. 4 cents gets you 1 Knight token. Let's move on to the monthly. That Siren token, whatever it is, meme coin on BNB is just sticking around, isn't it, Billy?
Yep.
It's up 354% for the month, 4,000% for the year. I don't trust it. You know, buy at your own caution here. It's up 67 spots, number 51, $1.31 billion market cap, waiting for the bottom to fall out on Siren, but not yet. It will tell you when it's ready to go. $1.80 for 1 Siren token. I heard rugs are off 30% this week. Let's go on to the Dixie. The Dixie is up 69 spots. It finally cracked the top 100. It's up 111% for the month for the Dixie. Been around for a while. $339 million market cap. $7.26 gets you 1 Dixie token. It's been around for a little while. And here's that Justin Sun coin. Still up 23.6% for the month. It's up 87% for the year. It's up 10 spots, number 81. Just a little over $500 million market cap. 5 cents gets you 1 Just token. That's a deep DeFi play on Tron. Hype. We all like Hype. Hype is up 41% for the month, 200% for the year. Still showing some strength there for Hype. It's up 15 spots, number 11. $9 billion market cap, roughly. $38 gets you 1 Hype token. Let's go on to the year. For the year, of course, we got to talk about Zcash. Zcash is still up 500% for the year. It's up, 67 spots, number 28, $3.65 billion market cap. Still sitting around that $200 range for Zcash. We'll have to ask DDT what he thinks about the price action there. OKB is down 8 spots, number 41. OKB sitting at $84. Wow, that's a big difference from that $225 earlier on this year. That's pretty much all I got, Billy. I'll send it back over to you.
All right, brother. Good. Let's see, Dave Digital. There we go, Dave. All right.
Hey, Digital.
Dave Digital. All right, we ready for the Fear and Greed Index and the coin market cap. I'm ready, Dave.
Are you ready, Billy?
I'm ready.
We love you,
All right, guys. So what's important here is fear and greed for the whole cryptocurrency marketplace is at 24. We're still on this a little bit above extreme fear, but at 2.3 trillion market cap still, down just 0.70. And we're on the altcoin season. We're at 45 out of 100, which means we're, of course, not in altcoin season. In fact, we are most likely in the middle or at the front end, somewhere in the first third of a bear market, guys. So I'm not going to re-hit everything that Redman just hit. Bitcoin right now is 66,501. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin with DDT and some other things happening with Bitcoin as well. And want to take a look for all you Cardano degens. Cardano's at 24 cents. Chainlink at $8.45. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Chainlink $8.45. And Andrea's, no, that was Aave. She's an Aave person. I was thinking that was I was thinking that was Aave. That's Avalanche. I don't even look at Avalanche. Where is my Aave at? Aave, right here. $95.58 on Aave for any of you guys that are interested. All right, guys, let's get into our predictions markets with Dave Digital. What's going on over there, Dave?
Let's see. Are you ready, Dave? Yeah, I'm ready.
We love you,
All righty. So they just had the Duke one up, and I wanted you guys to be able to see that. There you go. What is going to happen in the Duke game? They say Duke over UConn. So if you're doing your March Madness brackets, that's what you're going to pick. Let's see. There was a couple more interesting. We talked about all of these ones for Bitcoin before. Who do you think is going to be the Republican nominee? Is it really a toss-up over Rubio and Vance? Let's see. Let's see. Looks like it's a toss-up over Newsom and Vance for the election. But that wasn't that interesting to me. This one was interesting. Will marijuana get rescheduled before 2027? Totally rescheduled? Half, 5, or 1 to, or 50-50 chance? And before 2028, a 3-to-1 chance? Wow. Wonder what's going on there. And some of you Rolex guys might be interested in this. Will Rolex discontinue the production of the steel GMT Master 2 Pepsi in 2026? It looks like they will. Back to you, Billy.
Wow, that's interesting. On that Rolex piece, that's interesting. Do you have one of those, Jimmy? I don't have one of those.
Nope.
I don't either.
Do not.
See, that piques my interest because I'm not familiar with that particular Pepsi version. So, all right, guys, we're going to hit the topic of the day because we don't like to keep you guys waiting. Our thumbnail says 401ks. There is some new news about that. Let's get into that on our own Billy Goat Tales platform that you are seeing on your screen right now, created by our own Dave Digital and his AI buddies that he hangs out with all the time. But what is important? Why is this important to you guys? Seriously, why is this important to you guys? Because the White House now has specifically said and just completed a total review of the Department of Labor proposal on March 24th, which was just the other day. And this move really clears the path, finally. Lots of major hurdles, let's say, for the rule that will allow 401k plans to offer exposure to alternate assets, including Bitcoin and other digital assets. Now, you say, well, Billy, that's already been out. No, it's just like I've been saying on the show. So at our company, yes, there's ETFs, but our 401k plan through Fidelity, guys, it's through Fidelity, still would not allow Bitcoin because it's a 401k plan. So yes, Fidelity, you could go and buy the ETFs through Fidelity if you open up your own account and stuff, sure. But a lot of 401k plans we're not allowing this, companies. And we're talking, guys, like the numbers I've heard is like 10 to 12 trillion. When I keep saying there's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines waiting for the Clarity Act and waiting for stuff like this, the framework we talked about last week, the 5 new classifications for crypto that you distinguish now between what is a commodity, what is an NFT, what is a digital asset, what is a security. You know, that was huge. And now this is pretty huge, I think, because overcoming this obstacle is a pretty big deal for future investments into 401ks. So Cointelegraph via TradingView brought this up. That's where I found found out a little bit more about it, but also on Bloomberg Law, went there to research a little bit more about this as well. The key takeaways, because it was an executive order, it says that it stems from way back in August 17th order, democratizing access to alternate assets for 401k. So it's been updated now, guys. So now we're a little bit closer to actually getting the Bitcoin in our 401ks. And I want to say my personal belief about that is when that happens, it's going to be awesome for our industry in general. So I'm going to kick it around the horn. Let's start with the Red Man. What's your thoughts on this news? Is it impactful? Does it apply to our viewers? What do you think, Red Man?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody who has a 401k is going to be, I mean, see, our viewers are already in Bitcoin because they're smart. They listen to us every week. They know, they see where Bitcoin's going. And so this is massive. I think this is one of the best stories of the year. I was reading the story. I was like, man, this is it. There's 10 to 12 billion sitting in 401k right now. So if we can capture 3 to 5% of that market, that's roughly what, $500 billion going into Bitcoin. Man, that's a lot of money. To me, that's a lot of money. I know that gold's sitting at 30 trillion or whatever, but I feel like these are the types of things that's going to push Bitcoin to that level, maybe even past it in the next 10, 20 years. That's just my worthless opinion.
We all have one of those, and including me. Yeah, I agree. I think this is big news because real world, guys, I've been trying to buy Bitcoin through my 401k, and they're just not doing it. So you peel back the onion and you say, well, what is it? Well, it's these rules like this, where it provides clarity so that these companies like BlackRock, like Fidelity, like JP Morgan, like all of them can actually, that have 401k plans with companies, can actually offer it to their employees. There was not enough clarity, mostly because of the risk, right? People could sue anybody for anything. And so even in traditional 401k plans, if you don't size up the proper risk management of the client or their investment horizon, their timeline, their risk tolerance, their goals, then companies get sued all the time for that. Now you enter digital assets in Bitcoin and, it's pretty volatile. So I think this is huge for Bitcoin and the crypto market. But what's your thoughts, Jimmy Jim? Big deal, not a big deal? What you thinking, man?
No, I mean, I think it is a big deal. I mean, that's more insured money, and people like insured money. I would expect to see here over the next year that, I mean, I'm still of the belief we're not going to have a very bad bear market. And it's because of things like this.
Yeah, and we'll definitely drill down on that conversation here a little bit later in the show too, because there's so many different indicators and things that kind of, it's different. Let's call it different in some ways, right? But yeah, man, good. What about you, Dave Digital? What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, inherently, we as a population in the United States, at least, that's going to be affected by this are gamblers. And I think that a lot of the people that work really hard every day probably will take a little gamble in Bitcoin, even though we all know that it's up only. I think they will feel like it's gambling. I mean, I know some folks that work in the refineries that are dabbling a little bit. They got a little bit of Bitcoin, they got a little bit of Sol, they got a little bit of XRP, the what do they call those gateway drugs? So I think that this is good.
Yep. Any thoughts on it, DDT, over there across the pond?
Obviously unaffected, but from what I understand of the 401ks with the pension funds, whoever they are, kind of investment funds, they can allocate to ETFs anyway. So I think there is a route there already, and I have kind of had wind of various kind of people in various communities saying they have allocated, or they have been allocating 401k funds into ETFs. So you have a mechanism there, but obviously with the volatility of Bitcoin itself as an asset itself, kind of outside of the ETFs, that is kind of leading to your point that we still need the Clarity Act and all these kind of regulations in before it would kind of be allowed or viable with risk metrics and those type of things kind of all weighted out. But also as well in a more purist sense of the whole decentralized thing and crypto thing, if you've got obviously your 401k is kind of you putting money in and your company is putting money in, or wherever it is kind of self-invested or whatever it was. So you can use those if eventually that becomes allowed, but kind of from a purist perspective, I would just kind of personally invest myself. But kind of for the people that kind of don't know how to buy on an exchange, move the Bitcoin to a cold storage or anything like that, then it's an easy on and off kind of to invest. So, and yes, obviously big market funds, they're like a few percent either which way that they can put into from 401ks into Bitcoin. I think BlackRock put 1% kind of whatever their money or whatever it was. It's still a big amount kind of as to the ETFs. I think their ETF allocation is like 4% of their total fund at this point, and they've got big money in an ETF. So add the 401ks alongside that, it's also big money. Kind of, they don't have to add a big percentage of allocated funds in the 401ks to Bitcoin to actually have a big amount. So two and two together, they could move price, or kind of could scoop up a big allocation of Bitcoin kind of going forward.
Yep. Totally agree there, bro. So we're going to get into really some conversations about Bitcoin, and we'll get back to DDT relative to the Bitcoin price action right now. I'm probably frozen up, tell you the truth, because I keep clicking off my screen. But I wanted to move on real quick to the next story, but this is with the GameStop story, guys, because GameStop seems like it's always, for some reason, it feels like GameStop's one of those particular stocks that finds a way to get into the blockchain news somehow here and there. But as of March this year, so just this month, 325 million refers to GameStop's high stakes pivot into Bitcoin. So rather than just holding that cryptocurrency, their Bitcoin, which I believe they have over 4,700 Bitcoin in their treasury. So they created a treasury. But what is so different about this particular story, and it could be a play for you to make, they are now going to make this a little more sophisticated and doing another little financial maneuver involving Bitcoin. And the details, basically, the company is going to be using that collateral to do a covered call strategy. And in a nutshell, you guys, if you understand options and if you don't, I'll help you break that down. But the way it works basically is they have this Bitcoin, and now they can go out and do a call option. They get a premium. So they say, hey, if you want to buy this Bitcoin at this particular date, up to this date at this price, you paid them a premium. They get that premium. Now, if Bitcoin goes down, you probably wouldn't execute that option because you can buy it off the marketplace at that price. But if Bitcoin keeps going up and you say, wow, I have the option to buy this from GameStop at this price, Bitcoin particular price, you would probably do it because it's cheaper than what the market price is at that time. So they have now taken their Bitcoin and they have really used it to make a premium and yes, certainly with the volatility, I'm sure they have smart people, but they're looking at this as, hey, what is our risk management? What is our risk tolerance? How are we going to make money? Are we going to lose money? So they have actually decided to build a call strategy using their Bitcoin. And basically, GameStop sells the rights to others to buy their Bitcoin at a specific higher price, what they call the strike price. And that's options, right? But the benefit by doing this is GameStop collects that immediate cash, that immediate premium. So they're leveraging their Bitcoin, almost like staking. And yes, if there is a possibility that they have to sell it, but if you're already in the money, and I'm sure they are, and I thought I saw a stat, somebody can AI this and quote me, but I thought I saw a stat that basically said 60% of the Bitcoin owners right now are in the money. That means 40% aren't. So GameStop adopted a Bitcoin treasury a while ago. If they're in the money, they're using that to make money on their Bitcoin. I found that a fascinating story, and I believe that other companies will look at what Michael Saylor's companies have been doing. He's got all these financial products that he's using his Bitcoin for, and there's a lot of pros and cons. And I don't want to get into all that because there's people that say it's good, people that say it's bad. But what he's doing is he's leveraging his Bitcoin to make more Bitcoin, to get more Bitcoin. And I, generally speaking, if you take an asset and you are able to leverage it or stake it to make a more return on that asset, that's typically the way people like Warren Buffett operate, right? So anyways, what's your thoughts on this story, Redman? Does it hit home? Is it a big deal? Is it stupid? What is it?
No. The funny thing is, isn't that what banks do? They take your money and then they lend it out and they make money on your money. So I kind of, that part of it, okay, I'm not so bullish on. But the crazy thing is, everybody thought they sold their Bitcoin. People were going nuts, and they actually didn't sell it. They gave it to Coinbase Prime, and Coinbase Prime is basically rehypothecating the Bitcoin. And so they're making money on the loans. The great thing is these guys are like creating a new institutional playbook, basically making money on their Bitcoin that's sitting there. They have 4,709 Bitcoin that they sent to Coinbase Prime. That's a heck of a lot of Bitcoin. That's anywhere from 325 to $368 million in Bitcoin. So they're making a pretty penny on basically what they're lending out. And they're also blazing the trail for other corporate treasuries, because once these guys are going to do it, what's going to stop all the other corporate treasuries from doing it? And they're going to want to make money on this big chunk of change that they're throwing into Bitcoin. But at what point? So it was funny that you said, did you say 40% of the wallets are in the red?
60% are in profit in Bitcoin. Again, somebody can AI this to make sure I'm correct. The last I heard was we're at 60%. In other words, if you own Bitcoin, 60% people that own the Bitcoin, have Bitcoin wallet, are in the money. 40% are not in the money.
So what happens to these treasuries when Bitcoin takes a dump? That's my question, because they're going to have to get their rewards from somewhere. But at the same time, if Bitcoin dumps, what happens to these guys holding? That's especially the thing that they have with Coinbase.
Well, that's the Michael Saylor argument that that people like Peter Schiff and others try to suggest that if Bitcoin gets to X price, that Michael Saylor is going to be underwater. But I would say, here's the deal, guys.
Why you look so mad, Billy?
Am I mad?
You're frozen.
Oh, I'm frozen. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I was doing multitasking. Every time I click off my screen, it does that. Michael Saylor, all these people say that if it gets down too low, he's going to crash and burn. I would say anything's possible. I don't know. But I'd also say these guys are pretty smart guys, pretty smart financial people. I'm sure they understand that they got to have a secondary fund, right? A lot of runway in case things go south. In other words, they have the money just in case that would happen. But hey, I'm not a forensic accountant. I haven't gone in there and checked it all out to make sure that's true or not. Anything could happen, but I'm not a believer that Michael Saylor is worried about it. So to your point, Redman, what happens if you own a Bitcoin treasury? You probably are. Jimmy and I own a Bitcoin treasury, right, Jimmy? We basically bought our Bitcoin. A lot of our viewers have a Bitcoin treasury, basically your own personal treasury. Andy, you have a Bitcoin treasury, right? So my point is that there's a lot of runway before we go into the red. And so I would say when you're talking about GameStop specifically, they're going to use their asset to make more money on it. And I think we're going to see more of this. That's just my worthless opinion. What's your thought, Jimmy Jim?
Well, GameStop, continually finds new ways to make itself relevant. I mean, they splashed into the card scene big time. They paired up with PSA. You can do submissions directly in store now. They're selling TCG and sports cards. I just see this as another way for them to earn a profit, but it's very creative and interesting how, all of these different paths that they keep choosing.
Yeah, I agree, man. What's your thoughts on it, Dave Digital?
I do have some thoughts on this, but first, let's hear about a message from Billy Goat Tales to you, our viewers.
Education, motivation, crypto.
All three on one network. Billy Goat Tales. Join a live stream 5 times a week or take in one of our new pre-recorded video drops, and we have fire shorts too.
Don't miss anything. Subscribe now to @BillyGoatTales on YouTube.
Yeah, so I agree with Red and with Jimmy. I think, like Red said, that this opens the door for institutions to come in. And I agree with Jimmy that this is just a safety play for them, and it's another stream of income, which is smart. Put a little bit, put it into the security. People say, "Oh, Michael Saylor's he's gonna capitulate," but he's not. He's protected. It doesn't really matter what price Bitcoin goes to.
And you know what, Dave? I agree with you.
Oh yeah.
Now we have a total circle here. How about DDT? Who do you agree with, DDT?
Can I be contrarian and agree with myself? We can all agree to disagree. So I'm kind of the opinion, obviously, GameStop are very degenerate. And I think as a business, they're just really chasing the dollar signs. So they're just trying to find any way to stay relevant and any way to make money, as a business should. But obviously the risk is taking a loan against a Bitcoin, probably something I don't recommend. Self-custody and leave it. But as I say, they're in the business to make money, provided they can keep those loans kind of feasible. Then, yeah, kind of they're probably just using it for kind of keeping the business going and investing and using it for other purposes. Obviously, they run the risk of that Bitcoin loan getting liquidated if they are kind of doing the Coinbase loan based on their Bitcoin. So not something I would personally do, specifically if I had 4,000 Bitcoin aware of them, how many they have. But kind of a business needs to do what a business needs to do to stay relevant. And for the most part, my opinion of them is they're a bit degenerate with what they do. So it's also a bit contrarian, kind of in the sense that they don't necessarily do what kind of, I would say, would be non-risky. They don't take the easy path. So hopefully it doesn't come back to bite them.
I hear that. There's the contrarian view. Let's say hello. We got Wayne C, Pop the J, Violet, Good morning to Jay Violet, Badell, Crypto Badell, Curtis. Who else do we see popping in here? Did Keith come in? Crypto Coin Mindset. I don't want to miss him.
What's up, Adele? What's up, JV?
Mr. Market, what's up? Good to see you.
Wayne C.
Wayne C's in the house. Original OG. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys spending some time with us on a Sunday afternoon here in America. Anyways, let's move on. Let's get right into some Bitcoin talk. Bitcoin dips. We know about that. We're going to pull DDT up in a minute to go over this dip and where we're at, big picture. But Bitcoin slipped below that 67 mark as global markets started to rattle a little bit with all the stuff going on geopolitically, Middle East stuff, oil, all over the place, definitely gone higher. But basically 13 billion worth of Bitcoin options expired last week. That's a lot. Why is 13 billion important? Well, 13 billion is one of the largest in recent weeks. So that was a lot. That was a big expiry. Combined with that fear and greed that we talked about at the beginning of the show, in that Bitcoin itself, in that extreme fear, the total market's not in extreme fear as we showed you on CoinMarketCap, but Bitcoin is. This is creating really a massive short-term volatility that it's really is perfect action to kind of break it down right here on the live stream, see what DDT has to say about it, see where we're at. So you want to come up, DDT, and we'll pull that your chart
ready,
up.
DDT? Yeah.
Alrightio. So, overall macro outlook. We still obviously rejected last week, like around 74,000. The issue I see is obviously we still have the weekly money flow coming down, but rounding. So it's still looking for a bottom watch, hashtag bottom watch 2026, as Frankie would say. We do have the 2 weekly green dots printing, but of concern, money flow is still trending out on the 2 week. So generally it's just, if I was just looking specifically at the weekly and 2 week on a macro view, it's trended, it's ranging down. Daily, for the most part, still red. Daily momentum wave is coming down. And yeah, we're still in the range until we break below 60K. And that's probably what everyone is kind of looking for or waiting for. Something that I'm specifically waiting for. It's still ranging, going sideways. If I put my volume profiles on, I did update it a little bit. So initially we had the volume profile high, or value area high, at like 71,000. Currently now, what we've done is we've come back to the value area low. If we flip back to the 4 hour, what we did do earlier on this week is just have a retest. I think it wasn't off there, it was with one of these. So we basically came into a local golden pocket around 72,000, dropped down. If we looked at the 1 hour, I think there was a 30 minute. There was a bearish divergence into the back test of the value area high up here. Probably even lower time. Was it 40 minute, 90 minute? Well, yeah, kind of somewhere here. 45 to 90 minute, kind of mid minute to lower hourly time frame. So there was a bit of bearish divergence also as well, because during the week we got accepted, or last week we got accepted back into the volume profile, hit the POC, rules of the volume profile, can't get back above the value area high, obviously full rotation. That's essentially what's happened. Volume profile laws, or laws of the volume profile. The thing is, as well, as we were coming down off the value area high, we had the 4 hour money flow cross rate, obviously trending out. We've subsequently now, with hitting this level, for me to kind of signal that this would be a local bottom, we obviously need the higher time frame bullish divergences, which we don't necessarily have. And kind of Frankie was looking at this like Thursday, Friday this week. We don't necessarily have divergences. Yes, kind of the high hourly dots or the mid hourly dots between like the 1 hour all the way up to the 8 hour. Yes, they can kind of give bounces, but because the dots now, the green dots, are still against money flow for the most part, or even against kind of local trend, although we're in a wider range or wider volume profile, it's still indicative that maybe we could get one more swipe down, which is probably what I'm hoping for. So I was looking for, I did the live stream earlier, and I was looking for kind of a swap, take out the slow. We have the local 786 back down into, like, could come down anything into 63,000, give or take. But ideally, if you were looking more locally, this is obviously the full volume profile pull from, say, 59.8 all the way up to, give or take, 74,000. If you look more locally, we could, we have kind of 63. There is a volume profile, local golden pocket around kind of 65-ish. So that is probably where we're probably looking, but we could just range again. Based on what I'm seeing, money flow wise, momentum wise, trend wise, just buyer exhaustion wise, I don't necessarily have high hopes for us kind of getting back above the POC. So the POC now kind of around 68,000 is still the key zone above us. We could still rotate literally from this value area low back up to the POC, probably put in a lower high somewhere around there, and then obviously come down. That's my ideal scenario, although I don't want to kind of lean bearish. That is probably my best case for now, to kind of pick up a nice swing long. We'll start allocating some funds to spot on Bitcoin again. And then, so still in the range. Ideally, I think I might have had it on this. I did post these in kind of just a few zones that I was looking at. I had kind of a few scenarios. We came back into here and we did actually have the 15-minute bullish divergence early, kind of from here to there. We had a 15-minute bullish divergence, and we also hit a local golden pocket kind of to bounce. So locally, there was a little bit of a scalp long. But for me, my purposes, I don't like to kind of trade weekends or even scalp on weekends. I wait for Monday to kind of set itself up for the week. For now, kind of looking around mid 65s for one more sweep, take out this higher swing failure pattern, liquidity grab below Friday's low, and target kind of POC at 68. And then, kind of, it's not real setups, but kind of the setup above us is locally, if we just kind of, we could swing fail locally above 72,000, give or take, from yesterday. Bar that, a little bit more inclined to lean bearish now, and hopefully we drop lower. But we could just kind of make a smaller range now between 66 and 68,000 before we get some indication of what's going to happen. Also as well, Middle East malarkey is kind of also wrecking price action a little bit. So that's also indicative. So see how the futures opens in about 15 minutes. I have a suspicion oil is going to gap up, which may cause like TradFi assets, futures assets to, or even Bitcoin to maybe have that swipe down kind of on futures open, CME open. But that is kind of my thoughts for now. Still a range, kind of talking. Basically, I always trade the range until the range breaks. You have the deviations, you trade the deviation, you have a deviation, trade deviation, or otherwise you just trade inside the range. Pretty simple kind of swing trading strategy for what it's worth. By that, not a hang of a lot else. Waiting for lower, kind of, I'm waiting for a better long, kind of below, kind of in the 65Ks, 63 to 65K. Or alternatively, kind of we'll wait for another retest, kind of close to 68 for a kind of lower high short. Kind of those are my thoughts for now.
Billy, you're muted.
Yeah, my thoughts on it, not so much for trading. Thank you, Red. Red likes it when he can give me a correction on it, right? You're like a little kid, like Billy. I love you, man.
Love you too, Billy.
Love you, man. So, but my thoughts, DDT, and Jimmy and I talk about this all the time. You just try to keep things simple, man. So like on my chart, I just have a buy zone, and that buy zone for me is for the accumulation, not for trading. Meaning, so my buy zone is in that 44 to 65. 40, basically 45 to 65. And if I pulled up my chart, which
can you throw my chart back up, because I've also got a thought on that. I was speaking about that this morning.
Okay, go ahead.
So kind of in this zone here. So what are we on the weekly chart? Around this zone here in 2024 is where we got the ETFs, and then obviously we had the halving all-time high. This is apparently was a big accumulation point for big players that were front running the ETF. So it's not unlikely, or maybe it's a theory now, that this zone here will hold because we have a huge lot of big players here who do not want to be underwater. So I was kind of just explaining that. So anything from 40 to basically where we're at, say 40,000 up to 74,000, this whole accumulation here, although there's a small range there, and then there's obviously with this range here, if you take that whole price action, this is where a lot of big players that were front running the ETFs, whales, whoever it is, I would hope and expect that they don't want to go underwater. So if they accumulated initially at this price, maybe they did sell and offloaded a bit, they would want to reaccumulate again at this price. So that kind of weighs up and adds to kind of what you're saying, Billy, in regards to kind of accumulation zones or reaccumulation zones for big holders. And also as well, it's probably why we're not dropping out of this. Like, I don't know if we can, maybe I can show it on this quickly. But basically what we had here, why is this not? So this shows spot buying pressure. These green bars here show spot buying allocation as we came back down into the 66K zone, and there was a lot. So this is just an order flow optical market monkey terminal kind of indicator that they have. So it points to the fact and kind of adds to the validity of your kind of buy zone in inverted commas. Big players will continue to buy where they bought initially, right? They don't want to be underwater, well, in my opinion. So yeah, it adds validity to what you're saying, Billy.
Yeah, thank you. And everybody's different. So for me, I just have ranges, right? So like back in 2022, I had a whole range on my chart, a box. And I said, hey, during this time frame right here, I'm going to be buying Bitcoin. And in some ways I got lucky because some of it was TA, but some of it was like that. There's a whole, from that 15.5 to that 21,000, there was a lot of time. There's a lot of time that went by. So I was just buying, accumulating during that range, right? That box, that area. And for me, and again, not financial advice, but for me, that box of accumulation to buy the big buys is between that 45 and 65 range. So you could say, well, man, Billy, that's a big box. That's $20,000 difference. Sure. But you don't throw it all in at once. You know, I spread these big buys out. And we know that typically the typical bear market lasts a year. And so when we got beat below that 60 range, man, like that was that was a good position for me. So now am I going to be right, wrong? It doesn't really matter because I don't sell my Bitcoin. I just try to buy it at a good price, and I'm never going to hit the bottom, but I'm going to hold on to it for a long, long time. Right. So it just, for me, that's kind of where I see it, and not financial advice, but that's what I've been doing myself. So Jimmy, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, I've got my buy zone set up for this bear market. You know, we ain't got there yet for me.
Yep.
I'll continue to, use that strategy, trying to keep my DCA as low as possible. But, in the end, know that if I bought today, my DCA is just not going to matter in 8 years,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or more.
Right. Yeah. Since we don't know the exact bottom, it's like I don't try to. I can't never try to just know when the bottom is. So it's a range for me, and that range is right now, the heart of the range is 55 to 65, but the max of the range is 45 to 65. So you just spread it out. The way I do it is I just spread it out. So if it does get down to that 45 range, then I have some dry powder so I can actually participate in that. But that's just me. Everybody's different. Nobody has a crystal ball. And it's not a trading thing. That's accumulation of Bitcoin thing. So trading wise, really, these are big years. These are big yearly, what do we call them, DDT? These are like year-long, 4-year-long, 8-year-long swings. They're not a trade that you're going to make a bunch on in a day or a week or anything like that. So I'm more talking about accumulation. But with that, anybody else want to comment on that before we move on?
Yeah, glad that you asked, Billy.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Rick.
go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead.
No, just real quick. I'm watching the 64, 65K. If we don't get a bounce, that's where I'll be. I told some of my family members this week, I said, this is when you want to start DCAing the Bitcoin, because I just don't, in my worthless opinion, see it going down too much further than where we're at. But there's always that chance. Bitcoin's going to do what Bitcoin wants to do. But I feel like this is a good spot to start DCAing in. And if it goes down a little bit, so what? But at least at the end of the year, you can have a nice chunk sitting in your cold wallet for that next, those next legs up, if you will.
Yep. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked, Billy. I do have some thoughts, and this is just an observation as I was going through the charts. I don't know if this will happen. It's only happened once before, which was the last time. So let's take a look. If you were to look at the 12-hour chart, okay, and we follow the money flow, and you could see down here at the bottom, you can see the big green bar goes into red, which means the money flow is crossing into red. If you follow that line straight up, you'll see what had just happened. Okay, so what had just happened, we had just broken, or we had just been in this range, right? And then we came back up and we retested that POC, and then we had this huge drop. So that drop, if you just take the bottom of the range from 87,000 to 59 or to 60,000, is 27,000. Okay, so then if you take that and then you come and look and see exactly what we're doing again, right? So the money flow is in the green again, and it's maybe headed, it's fading out into the red again. We're down here at the bottom of the range, so there's a chance that we can do the exact same thing, come right back up, hit the POC, and then drop another $20,000.
Absolutely.
So if it just plays out similarly, that's what we're looking at. So if you're looking at, like I said, from 87 to 67, that's almost $30,000 down from here. So, and that would put us in the high 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's say your scenario, Dave, proves out, and let's just say it gets down to 39,000 and I bought it 57. I'm really not going to be mad about that.
No, because you'll buy 3 more at 37.
Well, my point is, my point is that where it's going to go, whether it's 37 or 57, for accumulation, that I know it sounds like a lot, but the $20,000 when Bitcoin's $1 million a coin, it's not going to bother you. So I look at it as ranges, and of course, to Jimmy's point, we want to buy our entry is everything, right? So this is why I say, millionaires are made during the bear market, not during the bull market, because it's what you accumulate now that allows you to be in position later when the bull comes, right? So that's just my own.
Well, there is one more thing too that I wanted to show. This is more in language that I don't really use, but if you take this, right? I'm sure you guys do this a lot in other streams. And then you do that, put you in the same spot, mid to high 30s.
Certainly
so
could
that's
happen.
Probably more, that's definitely more familiar than, just the way I was talking with POCs. You just take your little flag there. I'm not a flag guy, but it sure does line up. You're really close. I don't know, of course. That's just happened one time before. There's not multiple iterations of it that I looked at. But if it just happens like it did last time, it could happen again.
It certainly can. So everybody needs to pay attention to all of this information and make your own decision. Don't listen to some YouTuber ever. Just we're giving you these different scenarios and what we're doing. Certainly not telling you to do that. And don't listen to a YouTuber, man. I'm just saying that right now relative to financial advice.
And hey, Billy, while we're talking about Bitcoin, how about a word from Bitcoin?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Wow, look at my clothes. This is amazing. First day formal is incredible.
Dress to the nines and join the Billy Goat Tales team for first day formal at Bitcoin Las Vegas 2026.
Yep, we are definitely going to go to the Bitcoin conference. That's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to it. If you guys are going, let us know. We'd love to see you guys there. It's always fun. I mean, we met Wick and Wick's wife at, what was that? Was that Bitcoin or, yeah, it was Bitcoin, wasn't it? Wasn't that in Tennessee or was that Consensus? Can't remember. But we met a lot of people. Yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
Wick and his wife was in Nashville.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We're looking forward to it. We have a great time. We're going to be streaming live from the Bitcoin conference. We're going to be hooking up with everybody, all of our friends. So it's going to be fun. What, Dave?
Whoa. Back in my day, hooking up with everybody wasn't a good thing.
Well, that's a different kind of hookup.
Dave.
It's a different kind of hookup, Dave.
Oh, back to the show.
Back to the show. Let's go on. Bring up our dashboard. One of these really cool topics that I brought it up last week, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago, but the parent company, the New York Stock Exchange's parent company, ICE, and I didn't want to put that in there because when you say ICE, people right now think totally something different, but ICE, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, they pour $600 million into Polymarket. Now, why is that impactful? What's the big deal there? Well, prediction markets are absolutely exploding, and currently they're topping about 20 billion in total monthly volume. Do you hear me? 20 billion prediction markets in total monthly volume. That is huge, guys. So the traditional finance giants, they're just doubling down on these prediction markets right now. And ICE, and if you really get into figuring out who this ICE is, not only do they own the New York Stock Exchange, but they pretty much own all the financial tools that are out there, whether you're talking about mortgage lending or bank lending. They own a lot of the apparatus, the software that you have to use to do lots of lending. Just go check, just Google it, see what they own. You'll see that they're just into a lot besides owning the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange. So last week or the week before, they're also the ones, so in the last few weeks, they're also the ones that are tokenizing stocks. So they're also the ones that are going to be bringing the blockchain stock market to the forefront in a real way so that you can trade stocks 24/7 via the blockchain, via tokenization, which is huge. So these guys at ICE, they are really biting off on crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain. And it seems like every few weeks they're doing something that aligns with the adoption, the mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. Very interesting. I think it's bullish. What do you think, Redman? What's your thoughts?
I pay attention when those are kind of the hot button words right now is prediction markets and all this volume that's going into them. That's crazy. Like ICE or Intercontinental Exchange, they invested $600 million to start on Polymarket, and then they put in another $1 billion on top of that. That's big money. That's nothing to scoff at. That's big money. I'm paying attention to that. Polymarket, you want to shoot us a sponsor? Man, DM Billy Go Tails on Twitter, Polymarket. We'll put you in every show. We'll take good care of you, Polymarket. But yeah, no, I'm aside from the jokes, this is massive in more ways than one. It's basically more validation that prediction markets are not going away. Crowdsourced intelligence is not going away. These things are getting bigger and bigger, and their volume is increasing.
Yeah, I agree, man. What's your thoughts, Jimmy Jim?
Well, I mean, I dabble in poly markets myself on Coinbase. I mean, makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a booming market, like sports cards, and there's all kinds of stuff that's booming right now. So it does make sense.
Yeah, and what was it? 1.6 billion total investment in Polymarket. And it just ties everything together. I mean, that's a lot of money that they're banking on with these prediction markets, and they just launched or are working on launching the tokenization of stocks, man. So the stock market has been, closes. It's 5 days a week, right? So at 4:30, she Friday, it's over, right? Now it's going to be a 24/7. And we always kind of said that, didn't we? That like crypto, that one of the benefits of crypto is 24/7. No matter where you're at, what time zone you're in, whether if you're traveling, you staying up all night or whatever, you can trade crypto. You try to put orders in on your stocks, market's closed, you got to wait till the next business day. Order gets filled, probably not at the price that you wanted because it shoots right past that. And so I think this is huge. And when you see these big companies that are biting off blockchain and crypto, man, I'm like, we're living in good times right now. If you ask me, it's a blessing. It's a simple blessing. What's your thoughts, Dave Digital? Any thoughts on this?
As far as moving the market, no. But as far as buying in the bear, they're doing what they're supposed to do. Put your money in the bear and take advantage of the bull. And that's probably that seems like what they're doing. Makes sense. Will it move the needle? I mean, the only thing I see the needle doing is going down right now. So it doesn't seem like any of this adoption is moving anything anymore. Before somebody could sneeze. The only person nowadays that can sneeze and move the market is Trump. Anybody else, the market doesn't listen to. But are they doing the building the bear, and is it going to be great for them in the future? Absolutely. I mean, like Jimmy said, they're not going anywhere. Poly markets are the new thing. It's what's hot.
What's your thoughts, DDT? Any thoughts on this?
I think it just removes some of the open and closed volatility in the markets. But kind of in regards to Polymarket, with them investing in Polymarket, it kind of brings validity to that speculative betting in a sense that obviously a big company is investing in them or has invested in them. But then also as well in regards to ICE and the kind of tokenized stock option, where we're having stocks listed on centralized exchanges for 24-hour trading, or even like commodities and those type of things. It actually, I think, will reduce the volatility because obviously with gap ups, you won't have any gaps. So basically, it limits the volatility kind of between the different sessions or kind of weekend, weekday. It will limit the volatility, which is good for kind of the traders, scalpers. For long-term investors, it will have very little, will be very negligible. But it's the people that actively trade stocks or actively trade futures or trade gold and commodities, it kind of just removes a bit of the weighting, number one, and then obviously the volatility a little bit, kind of in between the interchange between the different opens and closes and those type of things. So from a trading perspective, I think there's definitely certain benefits to it.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, Dave, if you want to pull up our dashboard, because thinking about, or you mentioned adoption, and I noticed that a lot of crypto channels last week had this news. I know Miss Teen Crypto Randy had a segment on regarding Fannie Mae's acceptance of crypto-backed mortgages for the first time, which is absolutely another massive adoption. And to Dave's point, you're hearing all these good news. You're not seeing the market move. But Coinbase and Better Home and Finance have just launched a dual loan structure that allows the borrowers to pledge their Bitcoin or their USDC, so either one, to fund their cash down payments on conforming loans or mortgages tied to Fannie Mae backed loans. Now, why is that impactful? Why does our audience care about that? Well, this is the coolest bridge I think there is between traditional real estate and our digital assets that we have, that we own. Buyers can now leverage their crypto to buy a house without actually having to sell their bags. That is huge in my estimation. Being in the home building industry, I've been saying this is coming when you can use, and you know who put the seed in my head 2 years ago? Catherine Wood at one of the Bitcoin shows. When she spoke, she said when you start using Bitcoin as collateral, it's going to be a game changer in traditional finance. And guess what? This is a game changer in traditional finance with home loan. When you start tying housing, the American dream, to blockchain, it's a game changer. We're at such the beginning of this, guys. This $2.3 trillion market cap is absolutely nothing. We're at the very beginning of this stuff. And it's so cool and so fun to be a part of this. I think 10 years, when we all look back, it's going to be like, wow, we talked about it, but it actually is happening. And this is just another true live testimonial that this adoption is occurring. What's your thoughts on that, Redman?
I mean, this is real world utility that DeFi has been promising for years, and it's finally coming true. I mean, obviously there's two sides of the coin to this. If you bought way back in the days, and I'm talking like way back in the days on Bitcoin, and you're up massively, this makes sense for you.
Like our man Gold.
If you bought in 2020, 2021, 2022, I would be more afraid of the liquidation factor of this, because if you're leveraging Bitcoin, there's always a liquidation factor, and they will take your Bitcoin. So, as far as the buyers in the last couple of years, I would probably steer clear of this. But yeah, if you're a person that has thousands and thousands of Bitcoin, this is great for you. Not so great for the little Bitcoin holders out there.
Actually, I don't think I have that pulled up. But when I was researching this,
it shows that people that use their Bitcoin actually made their Bitcoin back and paid off the mortgage in a lot less time than their traditional 30 or 15-year mortgage. Even the small guys is what I saw.
Yeah, there was some. So it's two. When you do this, you can set it up so that because it's basically set up so that the down payment portion is what you can use your crypto for, right? So behind the scenes, there's actually two loans, but to you, the buyer, you'll have one payment. but there's behind the scenes 2 loans. And so you can actually set it up so you can pay, like say Bitcoin goes way up and you want to sell. Well, you won't be able to sell because it's locked. It's locked. And this is with Coinbase and Better Home Finance too. So it's locked in, right? It's in that trust account basically. But let's just say that you have the ability to pay that off and now you unlock your Bitcoin. So now you want to sell, you can sell because it's unlocked. It's not used as collateral anymore. So there is some out clauses in this according to the website, and you guys can go to the website and check it out and researching it, just better.com. If you just go to better.com, you can learn all about it. And it's better.com/crypto backed mortgages. But if you go there, you'll see. So there's some good and bad. And I hear what you're saying, Redman. Sorry, yeah, I know I'm frozen every time I go off my screen. But there's some good and bad, but everybody's different and everybody's in a different position. But eventually, I think for like the veterans, even the veterans, I think it's going to be cool for them because right now they don't have to use a down payment, right? So part of the veteran loan program, they don't care about the down payment because they don't need one. But you could offset the funding fee if you're a veteran, because baked in, guys, is a funding fee. So that just increases your monthly payment every single month for 30 years. If you're a veteran, you have Bitcoin, you can use that to offset your, it's now a legal asset. Right now it's an asset that banks recognize, which is huge. Just like Catherine Wood said, is that when we get to a point where banks and traditional finance accept your Bitcoin as no different than your stocks or your real estate or your gold, then it opens up a whole new marketplace for investment. And when she said that, I was like, that's huge. So here we are. What's your thoughts, Jimmy Jim?
It's good stuff. I mean, I don't know if I would ever do that or leverage. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe if there was some vacation home I just really had to have and I needed the down payment or something, like right now, I needed liquidity. I mean, I might consider doing something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, that would be one of the few scenarios where I would, where it was just, I had to have it and I had to move now scenario. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even consider that, I had time to prep and go get a house and buy another house and all of that. Bitcoin, my Bitcoin would not be in the picture, in the conversation.
Jimmy,
Yes.
I heard there's an island that may be coming up for sale that the owner was recently deceased, but I don't want to talk about that here.
Jeez
I'll pass.
Louise.
I'll dig a moat around my house and I'll have my own island.
There you go. Wait, I'm calling the plumber if there's a moat around the house.
Who'd I skip? Anybody? DDT, did you comment on this one?
I think I'm still going to kind of go with the view of what I did with the GameStop kind of scenario. I wouldn't ever leverage my Bitcoin. I'm a bit of a purist in regards to I'd rather just buy and hold it myself. And if I was going to leverage anything, it would probably be something like a security or kind of some other asset. I generally kind of just anti kind of the using your Bitcoin for marginal collateral. It's just kind of my view of it. But if I had other things to leverage, I would. But also as well, it might be extenuating circumstances at some point that I may, but I'm kind of for the most part, I'm kind of set on never having to or never wanting to leverage Bitcoin that I've got.
DDT, would you leverage ETH though?
If they allowed altcoins, I probably would. Although kind of ETH isn't really a big bag. I literally sold all my ETH at this point. I've only got Solana and Bitcoin kind of spot holdings at this point.
I'm just saying, when are they going to start offering the altcoin? You know, because we're so stuck on this. I'll never sell my Bitcoin thing, and I totally agree with that 100%. But would you do it with altcoins that maybe don't have the same attachment that Bitcoin does?
Yeah, I think with altcoins, obviously, it depends on maybe a few years down the line, they're more recognized, less volatile, kind of almost to a point where Bitcoin is at currently with obviously ETF investment and big company investment. So obviously we have ETFs, but it's still not really at the point that where Bitcoin is. So maybe a few years down the line, ETH will get to that point, Solana will get to that point. And then, yeah, you could probably do that. But I think for the most part, it's kind of to what cryptocurrency and kind of the Bitcoin kind of maximalist in me is either which way kind of, I'm kind of more married to my Bitcoin than I am my altcoins. So if I could leverage altcoins to kind of get a loan or whatever it was, I probably would. But Bitcoin is just it's a non-negotiable for me at this point until something drastically changes where I would need to. But kind of, yeah, I'm sitting on that that decision and kind of that viewpoint kind of going forward until something changes.
Agreed.
I hope everybody screenshotted what Andy had put up there.
Well, we recorded it in permanent YouTube
There
live.
you go.
Yeah.
There are no edits. There are no edits, Andy. This is the only thing we're going to remember right here. So everybody take a screenshot of that. Oh man. Yeah, all good stuff, guys. All good stuff. Dave, want to pull up our dashboard? The Billy Goat Tales dashboard created by Dave Digital. Let's go on to our next story, CoinShare. Now, why is this? This is a good story. This is where I hope Mike, I hope you're still around, Retro Mike, because CoinShares warned 20% of Bitcoin miners are currently unprofitable. Now, you say, well, here we are in the bear market. That sounds about right? But the CoinShares report was released Wednesday, March 25th, 2026, just so you guys know that. And it paints a picture of an industry really undergoing a little bit of a transition right now, which we in the crypto market know. We understand this. But what's really interesting about this story that I found was the hash price crash. What does the hash price mean? Well, the hash price, the revenues that the miners earn per unit of computing power, fell to between $28 and $30 per hashes per day in March of 2026, a new all-time low since the 2024 halving. Now, that report also noted in there that for a miner to stay profitable at these particular levels, they need electricity costs to be about 5 cents, around 5 cents per kilowatt hour. Anyone running older hardware like the S19 series that Mike has talked about, I've heard him talk about, at let's say 6 cents or more is currently underwater. So 5 cents pretty critical right now. Now, when you average cost, think about the average cost to mine a Bitcoin. Right now, that break even is $79,000, almost $80,000. So we know what the market price is. DDT just told us, right? We're like today, right now, we're at what was it, 67 ish. So we are, in my worthless opinion, kind of where we're supposed to be right now. But here's something that I thought was very interesting. In the past, and you go to the charts on this one, DTT, in the past, if we capitulated which the industry is already showing signs of that, the mining sector of what we're doing. In the past, that has also been a trigger for a bottom. You can track this. I went into the charts. You can track this. So what I'm saying there is this is kind of early. This fact that it's got this is somewhat early. And according to this source here, what a lot of the miners are doing, and I don't know if this is true, that's why I wanted Mike to chime in. What a lot of miners are doing is they're upgrading to AI GPU processing. So if you're a mining facility and you're underwater, you're either paying more than 5 cents, or you've shut off. You basically have unplugged. And when you unplug in these kind of amounts, this is when we hit that point on the chart that says, normally when we've done this, it's near the bottom, and you can track that. But what they saying that they've done differently this time around, when we talk about are things different? Are things different? Well, one thing that is different is that some of these big facilities have decided to go ahead and add the AI GPU processors. So now, instead of just mining Bitcoin with their ASICs, they also are using that energy to mine, to be a data center for AI. So there's a lot of crypto people, a lot of miners that have already converted to help begin mining, or not mining, but processing for the AI. Because as we all know, we need electricity and we need more data centers to process all this AI that we're eating up every single day. And so some of the Bitcoin people have already made that transition and are making that transition. And so they might not feel that obligation to sell their Bitcoin like they had in the past to pay for their expenses. Now, it kind of also runs true that there is a low level of Bitcoin on the exchanges, right? So in other words, we talked about before a supply issue with Bitcoin. Well, if the miners aren't having to sell like they used to because they're using AI, they're mining the AI. In other words, their GPUs are processing the AI for data centers. That's a stream of income to them that they didn't have before. So before they had to sell their Bitcoin, and now they may not have to, because they have another stream of income that's filling that gap for them. Now, I'm not plugged into I'm not an expert about it. I'm just looking at this from a business perspective and seeing the transition in the industry that we're in and wondering how this is going to impact the charts, the price, and is this going to be one of the differences that we're going to have in the 4-year cycle or not? I don't know. I throw that out there to the group, something that was kind of interesting when I was researching this. What's your thoughts on this one, Redman?
Yeah, so that's one of the classic cycle signals, right? Minor pain equals supply compression equals price catalyst ahead. So the biggest thing for me in this situation, and others like me, I do have 10 Bitcoin solo miners sitting right here in my house. It's easier for me or I have a better chance of hitting a Bitcoin block now that the hash rate has come down. It's easier for me to hit a block. The more miners online, the difficulty goes up, harder for Bitcoin residential miners to hit a block. So that's a key part. When you're dealing with hash price is actually more important than the actual price of Bitcoin. And the reason why, it's trying to find the floor. And you kind of alluded to this a little bit already, Billy, but if you could find the floor of where Bitcoin needs to be at so these guys stay profitable, that's a big heads up on the rest of all the investors out there, because you know where that bounce is going to come from. And right now that bounce is 58 to 60K. that's how much it costs most miners to mine one block of Bitcoin, 58 to 60K, somewhere thereabouts. I might be a little bit off, but that's about where it's at. So knowing that, you could just wait for the price of Bitcoin to get right around those prices and then potentially start buying in and, let it ride up. But that's not financial advice. It's just another strategy people use to make a little bit of dough in the Bitcoin community. But as far as supply compression, that's humongous for price action, because eventually this thing is going to pop because Bitcoin will be on sale.
Well, the whales, and you could look at this on Glassnode. You can look at this you can go and look at this. There's no doubt that the whales are moving to, that they moved to stables. And now there's a lot of stable coins that came off the exchanges. So you had whales of Bitcoin. It turned it to stables. And now you have stables leaving. Well, that's inverse of what I said earlier as far as the supply. But here's the thing. They're buying Bitcoin on the OTC. This OTC thing, I think we should do a whole nother show on OTC because these big guys, they're buying they now know they can move markets, right? Michael Saylor, these guys can move markets. There's a lot of OTC buying going on now that never used to happen. And so that is owning Bitcoin, which gives us this illusion that the liquidity is good and we don't have a supply problem. But I don't know. It's one of the factors in my thinking is like when I hear this with the miners, it does make me think that if they're going to hold on to their Bitcoin and we don't have that tremendous 80% correction in the halving in the typical cycle that goes with the miners. And like Jimmy says, the built-in code programmed, but you got less people willing to sell it. And we got a story coming up about the inflows to ETFs, positive for March, down for 3 weeks in a row, but positive for March. And we're in a bear market, guys. Well, where's all this Bitcoin at? So I do think supply is going to become a major story in 2026, even in the bear market, if any of this plays out. That's just my worthless opinion. What's your thoughts on this one, Jimmy? The miners.
Well, I mean, without a doubt, I mean, providing AI hash power is considerably more profitable than mining Bitcoin. So, I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of miners run through end of life on whatever they're.
Jimmy froze.
Yeah.
Jimmy froze.
The man, it sure is a good looking picture.
Man, that's a good
If I ever
picture,
froze,
Jimmy.
I want to look like Jimmy.
He must have clicked off the screen like I did. Froze.
Jimbo Fett.
Better call Cams. Jimmy, come back.
When I'm with
Dave Digital froze. Did anybody?
They did. Yeah.
I said, what's your thoughts?
Oh, I didn't hear you say what's your thoughts. You were,
I was froze, huh?
yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. You know, I don't really know what miners capitulated have to do with it. Like Red said, maybe it's better for the solo miners. Maybe that's why this whole solo miner thing started out, was so that it could pick up some of the slack. But I mean, Badell saying that the hash rate didn't even matter, the change. You know, it's every little bit matters, he said, but it didn't really move the needle for those guys.
Buck
So,
knows.
sure, Buck is in the chat.
It's a lot more involved than Bitcoin mining, and the big guys can do it with the little ones. Don't have to. Yeah, but Buck, isn't it a lot cheaper? I mean, you got the newest ASIC for Bitcoin. That's a lot of money compared to most of this, as I understand it, most of this AI data center mining or processing is with GPUs. So if you're a Bitcoin miner, and you are, and I'm not, you know more about this than I do, but what I'm thinking is, if you're a Bitcoin miner, have a Bitcoin mining facility, and you've been doing this for a long, long time, you know that the baked in is the halving. You know it gets to a point where you have to sell, you have to shut off your miners, you have to, you know, get your profits, right? And so we see a sell-off in Bitcoin traditionally, historically, because of that. Well, now if you're that mining facility and you're plumbed up with all that electric, right, which is huge, you're plumbed up with all that electric, you probably cut a deal with your local municipality where you're buying electric really low because of your Bitcoin mining. Now you just add to it the AI piece, the GPUs. So now you're making a whole nother stream of income with GPUs, and you don't have to necessarily sell all that Bitcoin because it's been replaced profitably with mining, which is with electricity that you've already cut a deal on. Where am I? And throw Buck the link or something. Maybe you could come on and talk to us. But where's my logic screwed up in that, Buck? Because
yeah, but let's say the miners weren't in it for the tech. What if they were just in it to make the money? Why wouldn't they sell their Bitcoin if they're not mining it anymore?
Well, because they had to before. They had to pay their bills.
Yeah, but
now they don't have to.
But now they don't. Now they don't have to. Now they have income from the AI, the new data stream, which is much better than the Bitcoin. Now they could just sell the Bitcoin. They don't need to have it anymore.
They could come to the side and not do anything, and kind of still have the separate income stream to supplement.
They can model it, but if they weren't in it for the love of the game, if they were in it for money, then.
Well, but Dave, I think about it. Why don't I sell my Bitcoin?
You're in it for the tech. You're in it for the Bitcoin.
Well,
you're here for the cause.
But it's also I'm here for the long term. So if you're a Bitcoin miner and you had to sell your Bitcoin before to pay your bills, now you don't.
If you got into Bitcoin mining, unless you did it really early, which those guys probably aren't still here. The people that recently got into Bitcoin mining got in it for the income.
Yeah, but the big players, I would say. If you had to sell your Bitcoin to stay profitable, and it's part of your life cycle for your business, it's part of how that industry worked, then now you don't necessarily have to do that. Those people, if they're mostly the early guys, are Bitcoiners for ethos. Most of them.
They're selling out. That's what Buck's saying. He's selling that. They're all selling out.
They're selling out. Is that what Buck's saying? Pull that up.
He said they're running for the fences.
Yeah. Most of them are in it for the money, bunch of rich, trying to make money. They're trying to pivot as hard as they can right now. Yeah. And that's what's in the news, that these guys are all pivoting, using that energy source that they have to offset the low hash and what's going on with Bitcoin, the bear market, the low price, everything that's happening right now. And it seems like there's just some big players getting involved in this. And I would be of the mind, if that was my business and that was my facility, and I had a life cycle, 4-year life cycle, and I knew that my main expenses, we basically paid off all of our bills, gave people our bonuses and stuff like that when selling the Bitcoin. And it was just part of and then we start all over again. If that was me, and we found this with the same outlet, right? In other words, the infrastructure has already been built. That is the power. I have X amount of gigawatts, whatever my facility is, right? Then, man, it seems like I wouldn't sell the Bitcoin. I would be I know it's going to go up in value over time, and most of those big miners, I think, or certainly everybody's in it for. I always say, you came in for the money, we stayed for the people and the tech and the ethos. But a lot of those early big guys came in. They just decentralized. They started their mining early. I don't know. Ask Retro Mike. I mean, Retro Mike seemed like be on the cutting edge of all this very early.
But think about it, Billy. If you had a farm, right, and you were farming marijuana, your farm had marijuana, and you grew a lot of marijuana, right, and you stocked up your marijuana, and you were selling that marijuana to stay profitable. But then you were able to start selling daisies, and the daisies were more profitable than marijuana. You're not going to keep your stock of marijuana. You're just going to stock up now on on daisies, and then you're going to keep selling those daisies. I mean, if you're in it just for the business, you're just in it for the business. It's just another product.
Yeah, I don't think so. In my own opinion, I would say that I'm not certain, and I don't know this answer, but I'm not certain if I build a huge business. You've seen some of these mining facilities, like I think about the one up in
Did you see the article
Greenland.
about what
Yeah,
Marathon?
but they can swap it over. They can now sell that same stuff to the AI guys, and that's what they're doing. They're selling it. They're moving.
So wouldn't that mean, if that is the case, and I'm not saying it is, because I don't know. I mean, but wouldn't that mean then the Bitcoin network would ultimately become less protected?
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
And what does that
They
mean?
might not need. They might not need. Well, the 51%.
Every time that a
Attack,
miner
right?
shuts off, it's less protected if a miner doesn't come back.
Yeah, if that 51% is a lot lower, it's a lot easier to hack Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So do you? So on our panel here, and Jimmy, you
Well, they
know
get forked.
more about this probably than all of us,
He's
but
not.
he's not here. But would so you guys would say that, and Buck, you can chime into, because I don't know this to be a fact, but it could be a fact right now. You guys are thinking that if I had a whole entire business for the last 15 years, mega facility of mining Bitcoin, and now with the development of AI, I have figured out that I can use my energy and just become a data center, which is a capital investment, by the way, guys. You can't just turn your ASICs. ASICs does not mine or cannot be used for the AI. You have to go out and buy, as a capital investment, you have to go out and buy all these GPUs. So it is a CapEx, right? There's a certain amount of CapEx there. So you guys are saying, if I'm hearing you right, that they've worked it out where the data center profit is more profitable than the mining for 15 years of Bitcoin, and therefore they're going to abandon Bitcoin, ASICs mining, and they're just going to all go to AI data centers. Is that what you guys are saying? Because that's not.
That's what I'm saying. If they're in it for the money.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
believe
saying
that.
they're just supplementing.
Yeah, me too.
So when Bitcoin's mega profitable, they'll
do
less AI, and now that Bitcoin is less profitable, kind of just switch between the two to
what I'm
to be
thinking
sustainable. That's my thought at the moment. And yes, Buck is alluding to the fact that they're in it for the money. So yes, they could be to the far end of that spectrum and just now kind of just fully just doing the AI thing. But I think there's going to be pivots between the two as one becomes more profitable than the other.
Yeah, I think I would, if I'm the CEO of that company, I'm supplementing that, man, because when you've already built an entire infrastructure and you understand the roadmap, you understand the industry, you understand what moves the needle, you understand what can make you profitable, you understand your expenses, and you know that very well because that's what you do day in and day out. There's no way in the world I'm going to just flip to something else. For like in my business, being a home builder, and I realize that I can now become a trailer park manufacturer, and I it's more profitable. So I'm just going to do. No, man, the infrastructure, the people, the training, the is all there. I've already mastered that. Now I would use it if I could use the same infrastructure and just plug into something else pretty easily without huge CapEx. I probably would do that as a supplemental, but I don't know that I'd shut it all down and just say, I'm going to follow the money. There's people that do that. I'm not debating that. I just think it's more of a supplement myself, and who knows?
That's the same thing that happened to Caspa. When Caspa came out, you saw Marathon come out and say, well, they were actually mining Caspa for a year before they reported it. But Caspa was super profitable, and they mined Bitcoin first, and then they got into Caspa without telling anybody about it. Started mining Caspa when it was GPU, and then it made its way to ASIC, and they just stayed on it and sold as much Caspa as they could to stay profitable on that side. So they would run Bitcoin and Caspa, mining corporate or mining operations at the same time. And I'm sure they're probably doing the same with AI. They're probably doing the same with AI as well. They're running their AI GPU, and they're still running Bitcoin, but they're consolidating. So because it's not as profitable.
Yeah, Buck.
Yeah, so Grok says, Billy, that they would sell, and they are selling. They said, in fact, as of March 2026, the public Bitcoin miners have already sold well over 15,000 Bitcoin. There, and you see down here, they've got Mara selling a lot, Core Scientific is selling a lot, Bitdeer is selling. They liquidated their entire Bitcoin treasury. Riot, Bitfarm, Cypher, all of them selling chunks of their Bitcoin. So if you look even farther down here, you'll see why are they doing it. And they said it.
Marathon
AI
sold
pays
paid
5
it.
to 10 times better returns on the exact same power infrastructure.
What is it?
So
How
5
much?
to 10 times better, 5 to 10 times better than that estimate.
So,
And then up here it says the AI colocation leases pay 3 to 25 times more revenue per megawatt than mining does. So the answer is obvious. If they got it for the money's not in Bitcoin right now. It's in AI.
Mm-hmm.
right, because we're in the middle of a bear market, and they always lose.
Yeah,
money
but
right
AI is
now.
not. So
Yeah, that's
AI
true.
doesn't care about bear market.
So, Buck, with all the research and everything you've been doing in the last few years, and starting your, the swimming pool, all the mining and stuff that you're doing, have you? And I haven't kept up with your chat, so if you've said this, I apologize. But have you decided that it's better to go to AI GPU processing than continuing to mine Bitcoin? Like, let me know, man. Put it in there. Because it's hard for me to believe. I mean, they're selling right now because if you look back on any 4-year cycle, this is what the story says. That capitulation is occurring right now, which is right in the middle of where it should. So that's not odd that everybody's selling, but the difference this time is, according to what you just read, was that they're selling for a permanent purpose to switch over to AI versus just the market purpose, which would be that they have been selling, and this is the normal time when they take profit. So it's interesting, man. I don't know that I don't know. Seems like a lot of infrastructure and a lot of work for a lot of these big companies just to throw it all out and try something new. But I do worry then about like the security of Bitcoin.
Somebody's selling, Billy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
What the heck was that?
Yeah, big
Somebody's
sales
selling.
came in
Whoa.
just on this.
It's down to 65 too.
What have we had?
What are you on, the 1 minute there?
I'm on the 6 minute.
Goodness gracious.
I ride the 6 minute,
Jeez, oh Pete, man. Put that thing on the daily. Let's see how big it really is.
That's what she said.
Come on, dude.
We've just bounced off some big spot orders on Binance at 65. We're just going
the daily
5,000.
So
Longs
daily's
wrecked.
for 3 white soldiers.
Longs are wrecked. About
Short time.
400 million. Literally in how many? Last 20 minutes, about 400 million of longs just got wrecked. That's chump change for these exchanges, the amount of money they're making.
Welcome to crypto, Grandma.
We've got 257. Yeah, we've got 500,000 or 500 million literally in since last 25 minutes from what I can see on order flow. So but it's volatility now. This is the CME open volatility, and this is where I was getting to previously about the stock having less open and close volatility. If it's more consistent like Bitcoin, it will narrow these kind of gap ups and gap down.
See, that's one of the things Buck's saying. He loves Bitcoin. That's why he's staying. But if he was just in it for the money, he'd be gone.
Yeah.
People limiting this, I'd be careful. There's no signs.
Yeah, I know. I see him. I see Curtis with this limit order. Yeah, be careful. But if it's spot, go with it. But if you're doing leverage, limit orders are a bad play.
You're on the 786
short term.
There's a local 786 around 65 200, which you've eaten through a little bit, but it's.
I've got a macro one at 63.
Yeah, the 63 786 or 63 200 786 is kind of the it has to bounce there, or it's definitely, or kind of very highly likely going sub 60. That's like line in the sand. But I've literally got nothing bar like Fibonacci, local one pocket 786s. There's not really many levels before you really get to like 58,000.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
no,
so bouncing on hoping unless the spot price absorbs, which from what I'm seeing on the spot, 63 500, 60k, and then stack between 58 to 50, or between 59 to 56.
Do we have FOMC this week?
I don't know. I don't follow it.
We can pull it up. So. You gonna check it, DDT?
Want to see charts or
no? If we have FOMC.
No, sorry, I don't have Forex actually loaded. I don't think there's much
looks
news.
It looks like Kurt hit a limit order short. Let's go, bro.
Friday.
Pay attention to take your profit. Move that stop.
I think Friday might be NFP, because generally that's the first Friday of the month. Usually, this week, next week. Yeah, there's not much. Powell is speaking at some event on tomorrow. 30th. Jolts on Tuesday. Yeah, ADP on Wednesday. Non-farm on Friday. There's a few red folders, but nothing really that. It's still all of this. Yeah.
No,
I would say
we don't have it this week.
Towards the back end of the week, I think is the so ADP, non-farm, unemployment claims, and then NFP will probably be the three big movers. There's nothing to do with Japan, because that's also a bit of a red herring at this point with the economical stuff going on. No, nothing really. Oh, are they changing? Oh yeah, we got to watch on Tuesday the CPI. If Japanese CPI starts ticking up, that will obviously start a little bit more of the carry trade unwind. But also as well, the kind of current Japanese equivalent of Fed Chair Powell is a little bit more dovish in the way that she is kind of keeping the Japanese economy afloat. So yeah, kind of we don't need Japanese CPI to start tanking, because then they will hike their rates, and then that obviously has spin-off effects on the carry trade, which will unwind a few more futures positions and forex interventionary kind of positions around markets. So by that, red folders are back end of the week, but also as well we could get El Presidente tweeting and yapping like he normally does, which also isn't kind of the best thing if you're on the wrong side of a trade when he does that. But yeah, it's not looking all that volatile until the volatility happens. I think kind of back end of the week is the only thing I'm really worried about at this point, or kind of would show some concern in regards to kind of red folders.
Yeah,
1,200 Bitcoin move to Binance. Was that just now?
So,
well, and one of the stories, Dave, is the ETF flows, and so March is so far up, which is the first time in 4 months. So we've had outflows on Bitcoin ETFs for 4 months, but this month now is a turnaround month, which inflows are greater. So there's just so much like information that is making this like big picture 4-year cycle. We're in the bear market. I have a buy zone, all good, right? But I'm wondering about all these these adoption scenarios that are happening that are big money, big. It's like, how is this going to change this, or is it, or is it like Jimmy says, it's baked in, it's going to do it every time. These are the inflows, the ETF inflows turning positive for the month after 4 months of being outflows exceeding inflows is kind of in the middle of this. So wouldn't there be a school of thought that would say the big money is now buying Bitcoin? Not the retail money, the big money. In the middle of not in the middle, but let's say the first third of the bear market, we have March 2026, we have inflows of ETFs exceeding outflows for the first time since October of last year, I believe. Is that, let's see, make sure I'm correct on that. First one. Yeah, since October 2025. So this is the first month of net institutional accumulation since October of 2025.
Really, are we looking at the same story? This story is saying that BTF outflows hit a 3
well,
week
I kind of jumped into the middle of that. That story there is for 3 weeks. Yes, 3 weeks we had outflows, but for the month, if you're looking at the whole month, the inflows beat the outflows. So yeah, so it kind of goes into what's happened in the last 3 weeks, and then macroly for the whole month of March, what has happened. So yeah, it's the same story. It's just I kind of when I segued us into this, we were talking about Bitcoin and the price that DDT just had up, and I was like, yeah, how about the ETFs? Like they're buying now, like the inflows are buying. So I don't know. There's just a lot of confusion with it. But big picture, keep it simple. We're in bear market. We're in some accumulation zones. I'm taking advantage of that. I do have this just gut feeling that it might not get as bad. Like last run, guys, I remember when we got down from 69 to 30,000, and I was thinking, man, like that 30,000 looks like an awful good spot to accumulate. And I think I did buy some at 30,000 actually. But then, as we know, it went to 15.5. So like, there's just times where, you're just looking at it all, trying to measure it all out, and you really don't know. That's why I use big boxes and big ranges, and I grab it there because I don't really know. And this time there is a lot of adoption to happen. And what's going to happen, Redman, if in April the Clarity Act passes? And I don't know that it will pass. In matter of fact, if I had to bet that on Polymarket right now, I would probably bet it's not going to pass as we'd hoped it would, as written. But let's say it does. Hypothetically, what would that do? I mean, that could be huge.
Yeah. So I put a post in our Discord, Redman's Research, about the Clarity Act and what coins might do well, might not do well. But yeah, I definitely believe they're working on it. But I also believe that it's not going to be the greatest for the consumer because we will not have the high yield that we have now. Our yield's going to look more like it did or it does with TradFi, and I think that's the big hang up with this thing is banks can't get over the fact that people get a better yield with crypto than they do with the banks, and they don't want to give up that profit. So because once they do, that means it's the end of the banks. The biggest thing is we need Coinbase to, and I'm talking about Brian Armstrong here. We need Brian Armstrong to be a part of this whole aspect. He can't be blocked from the bill because that he's kind of in our corner, and we don't really have anybody else other than Brian Armstrong. Because I feel like these senators and Tim Scott, I'm talking about Tim Scott and some other ones, I feel like they're really just big bank people. trying to be crypto people. And the big banks have been giving them money for so long. It's hard for me to believe that they're on the crypto side more than they are on the TradFi side. Unfortunately. And so I'm not expecting when the bill does get passed, I'm not expecting the high yield to come with it. That's just, I'm trying to look at this thing and be realistic. It feels like they're going to try their best to keep that part out of it, but it doesn't mean that the fight is over. It just means that at the time they're not going to accept high yield, but this thing can be amended over time when we get new senators in that actually want crypto more than they want the banks. And I feel like that time is coming. We're just going to have to wait it out for a couple years.
Yeah. Very interesting. Well, we're not going to get, as I assumed, Andy, that we're not going to get to all of our topics. I knew we'd have some good, engaging conversation today, which is always good for you guys in our community. By the way, Andy, we don't want to get too religious on this show. So your spirituality to the moon cycles, I don't know. We better take that off. Because we don't want to go there on Billy Goat Tales. You believe what you want to believe. So.
Shame, y'all. Andy, I stand up for you in the back here.
I love the moon cycles, actually. I love it. They played out. You're right, Andy. They have absolutely played out. Over in the Wolf Web 3, the spaces I go into over there's a whole group of Wolf brethrens that I have over there that we've traded those moon cycles. It's kind of a running joke, but they play. It's crazy. It's kind of the fun way to play some crypto. But with that, Dave, do you have anything we need to add? Because it is time for the show to end.
Yeah, it's time. Time is time. We'll go out with the bang. See you guys next time. Love you, fam.
It's a big bang. So are you taking us out, or am I taking us out, Dave?
Education, motivation, crypto.
All three on one network. Billy Goat Tales. Join a live stream 5 times a week, or take in one of our new pre-recorded video drops, and we have fire shorts too.
Don't miss anything. Subscribe now to @BillyGoatTales on YouTube.